Hi guys, I have again come up with a different category today. Today's category is networking and content delivery. In today's content, the section which I am going to tell you is networking and content delivery, which is very important when it comes to enterprise applications, enterprise level usage, whether it is big, medium or small companies. They all are using it extensively, and each and every services is important, no matter whether you're working on AWS, Azure, Google Cloud Platform, or IBM Cloud. Any cloud you talk about, this service is extremely important. These are the services which are listed out here. There is no replacement of these services. So the first service I will be talking about is VPC. Apart from the one which you can read the definition beside definition of VPC, I would like to tell you that VPC is the first thing which you create it in your cloud platform. It's a private cloud where your subnet resides, your resources resides. You make it with the internet gateway or whatever the service is. You route to the network of the outside and inside to your system, to your own system. Said so, we will be creating these services every now and then. We will take the leverage of every details of it going forward. So those will be covered in the practical and a specific VPC class. So let's move on to the next service. Okay, so the next service is CDN. Say for example, I give you a very layman definition apart from the definition which is already there. I don't know whether it makes sense or not, but these definitions, if it is not explained properly. Say for example, you are having a website which needs to be served in different region, and those are huge data content. Maybe it is maybe a catalog, it can be a blog as well. So if you're interested in these kind of content which needs to be delivered into different kind of region as and when required, what usually happens is it talks to the server every time. More precisely, say for example, you are in India and you have hosted your website in India, and from US somebody wants to connect to your website and get some data from there. But said so, these contents are traveling all across all the public infrastructure and traveling huge distance to carry that content from India to US. What is the best way of doing it is if you can cache them at least locally to some extent, so that every time that person or the person beyond that, after the one person is accessed, the rest of the person don't have to travel that much to get the content. It should be reside in a very locally in some way or the other. CDN does exactly the same thing. CDN stores or caches the data. Once one user has requested that data in that region, it stores that data for some time and then deliver it to the next person. There is always a chance that you would say that there would be a stale data, the data which may got changed in a website, and the other person is not getting reflected. Yes, you are true. There can be a situation if that, because you are the owner of your application, you know how frequent your content gets changed, and that's the way you are going to set the TTL, that is time to live. If you change the time to leave every now and then, it is not very efficient. But if you efficiently configure it, your TTL, CDN is extremely a useful service. Can you think of a address book, a IP address and a name associated with it? Quite similar, right? You have heard it many a times. It is DNS. Yes, exactly. Route 53 is a DNS web service. A service which is provided by AWS, which helps to resolve, to a longer extent, which helps to resolve the DNS. But it doesn't do only this much. It does a lot of things. In fact, it's very recently in a month of January or February 2019, AWS started the Route 53 resolver. So now you can cache this data locally, and you can go as a take that a replica of that address book and start working on it. We'll discuss all this in detail when we'll discuss Route 53. AWS PrivateLink. AWS PrivateLink is something which you would like to leverage when you have a lot of lot of resources, a lot of networking stuff going on, and it's a hybrid system. When I say, usually I don't know how much you know about hybrid system. Hybrid system is something which a system which is interacting with on-prem and cloud both. So what you need is a private link would facilitate you is connectivity, which seamlessly connect your on-prem system with your on-prem network with your AWS cloud network. The catch point over here is if you use AWS PrivateLink, you do not actually need a gateway. Sometimes you can get rid of gateway and NAT device and a public IP address. That, enterprise takes care of. They have to buy hell lot of IP addresses, NAT device management, internet gateway stuff, and all these stuffs gets resolved. You don't need any one of these if you use AWS PrivateLink. AWS PrivateLink is not only this, it also tells you that you are free from the attacks, because AWS PrivateLink takes care of the attack. It may be DDoS, man in the middle, whatever the attacks you have to take care of. After using AWS PrivateLink, you don't have to do that. At the same time, you are also getting rid of the compliances of the network compliances or the security compliances what you have to do. So if you deliver this, your client knows, if your client is educated enough, and when you are telling that I use AWS PrivateLink, he exactly knows that all this has been taken care of, and these are not to be explicitly maintained, because AWS platform itself is maintaining that same thing. AppMesh. AWS AppMesh is something which is very interesting. Let me give you a context of this. A couple of years, maybe 5-6 years, we are more into microservice. Microservice is a self-sustained container which can be taken care by itself. It communicates with different microservice. You know something? I told you that when there is an application developer who creates this microservice, initially, before he start making an application, he has to take care of networking, virtual private cloud, or a virtual network, and what is the route facility, how this route facility is going to work, what is the route table, how do we have to configure the route table, how this one communication with the other communication would be happening with each other. Everything which is there, it was all have to been taken care by set of different people, or maybe the application developer. AWS, this is the first step from AWS where you don't have to take care of all this. AppMesh would take care of all this infrastructure stuff in one place. It will have consolidated way of communication between one application to other, maybe one service to other, and going forward, people will be more concentrating on the business stuff, not of the networking or the infrastructure stuff. This is as of now quite matured, but this is the first step of reaching this dream world. AWS will gradually reach this, but then AppMesh potentially do more of, I would say with my experiences around 40 to 45% reduction is already there, and not too much way to go far, but we are very near. But then this is how the mesh AppMesh is going to work in future. It's going to work in this way, that the services will talk to each other, the networking and other things, everything will be taken care by the AppMesh itself. Next is CloudMap. Could you imagine that when I was talking about CloudFront, or maybe Route 53 to be exactly the example of it, you are associating a IP address with a name so that it helps to identify. What does that mean? There is an IP address where there is a name associated with it. So it's like address book. Can you think of a scenario where there's a huge application moving around in your organization, or maybe there are a lot of applications in and around. There is a different version of it. There's a very complex architecture. It is very difficult to know how to deal with those versions, how to deal with that stuff, and the most important, you have an address book of these applications, so that if there is a version change on some other place and there is a name change on some other place in the service, you don't have to go and change all over. There is a centralized place where you can go ahead and change the name and the details of that server, and it's a kind of repository of your application all in one place. That exactly is CloudMap. What it does is the applications what you have deployed, maybe it in a stage, production, whatever these stages are, and there's a multiple version of one application, you are maintaining it from the CloudMap so that it don't get messed up. It's been called from one central location. That is exactly what is CloudMap is. What is AWS Direct Connect? AWS Direct Connect is a service which connects your on-prem with the AWS cloud. AWS Direct Connect uses two bandwidth, with one is 1G and another is 10G. Enterprise or company can use AWS Direct Connect to connect to their different servers different locations, different servers located in a different geographical location, different offices connect to their branch offices, whether it is on-prem or cloud. It gives that facility to connect each and every office in one bandwidth. Did you ever faced a difficulty on accessing one page, one website from one place, and having no difficulty on accessing the same page from a different place? It happens. It happens because when a server gets a request and the response comes, it travels through a different public internet gateways, and depending on the depending on the speed of internet and depending on lot of other it hops from one public host to another public host. During this hop, there's a hop time required, and a different user experience can happen. One user can experience very fast, one other user can experience a bit slow, and the third user can experience a horrible data connection. To reduce this, AWS has come up with a global accelerator. What global accelerator it does is it creates a pool where you don't have to hop with multiple internet stuff. It exactly gives you and it gives a user a stable and consistent data fetch. With the introduction of cloud, and previously there was on-prem, so the enterprise have now a huge lot of infrastructure to manage, because practically speaking nobody can move from on-prem to cloud just like that. So he has to maintain his own on-prem stuff for some time and keep on migrating to cloud. This opens up n number of VPCs, n number of app servers, n number of gateways, huge infrastructure to maintain. At the same time, there is a Direct Connect, there is AWS VPN working with each other, talking different kind of CDNs are working, the configuration of route tables, everything is becoming very, very complex. Say so, it's a very recent service which AWS has bring up, is called as a Transit Gateway. Transit Gateway creates a one central point of entire movement of the data or the entire traffic from one central place. That creates a gateway where every on-prem or different server, different VPCs, different network, all these things comes up in one place and is being centrally monitored using this service. Elastic Load Balancer. Elastic Load Balancer is a primary reason of doing Elastic Load Balancer is the fault tolerance. It scales up your application, it scales EC2 instances, it scales up your network. Primarily, Elastic Load Balancer is available in 3 different flavors. One is Application Load Balancer, which does it to a HTTP and HTTPS, takes care of these 2 protocols, and another is Network Load Balancer. Network Load Balancer balances in TCP, IP and UDP, and third one is Classic Load Balancer. Classic Load Balancer works on EC2 instances, and network and VPCs, and it helps working on different atmosphere, different AWS environment, different way of dealing each and every load balancing stuff. I will go in detail about this load balancing. This is something which you cannot skip. It's very, very important for the exam topic, and it's very, very important in your real life. Yes, last but not the least, AWS VPN. It may be sounding you that what is different than Direct Connect. Yes, you're right. It is not different, but then Direct Connect is more reliable and costly than AWS VPN. If you have a small organization or mid organization or maybe a bigger organization but wants to leverage this service or want to leverage the flavor of it and then go for the bigger one, then AWS VPN is the answer. Said so, AWS VPN comes with 3 flavors: hardware only, software only, and hybrid. I will discuss all these services in detail. Stay tuned. Do not forget to subscribe. Do not forget to like, and if possible, it is good if you can share this video so that your friends or colleagues and everybody in and around look into these videos and get the knowledge. Remember, I'm also targeting for you to teach you the certification part. I know the certification of AWS is not that easy nowadays. It is difficult, but nothing is impossible. You should, if you keep on looking into these videos, you will certainly get certified very soon. Thank you.